The last time you were here, it was in the heart of the Pan Am Games. We've got the Para-Pan Am Games that are set to close in the next couple of days. What would your grade be for the city and how we've handled it?
A plus. I mean, and I don't say A plus because you'll get to the Olympic thing, I'm sure. I don't say A plus as part of any broader conspiracy that I'm involved in, because I'm not. I'm going to take the Olympic thing very slowly and deliberately and carefully, as I think people would expect me to. But I just think this city has, first of all, in terms of the way the games have been put on, the facilities, the volunteers. I mean, they were incredible. I think when I was here, I gave them a first star back then. They still deserve it. The athletes. I mean, everything about it was fantastic. And the city's response to it has been fantastic. I mean, this city has had a buzz in it this summer because of all this that I've never seen before, and I've lived my whole life here. And it's not a reason to do anything else by itself, but it's just good. I think it deserves an A plus, and I don't give A pluses out at the drop of a hat.
Let's talk about the Olympics then, because that makes perfect sense. Take me through this process. Last time you were here, you told me that you need to sign a letter by, there's a date in September.
September 15th.
September 15th.
And all that letter says, by the way, is that we are interested in bidding, and it's accompanied by a $50,000 deposit that is paid by the Canadian Olympic Committee.
What is the process behind the scenes? I mean, obviously you can't give too much away, but what's the
I'm
process?
happy to tell you everything. I mean, because they wrote up in a big sort of deal in the newspaper yesterday that I'd met with Marcel Aubu, the head of the Canadian Olympic Committee, and Bob Richardson, who was very involved in the Pan Am Games, and they all said, this surely means he's got the pen in his hand and he's ready to sign the letter. Quite the opposite. I had them in because I said, look, there's some information I need in order to make this kind of deliberate, careful decision, like how will the IOC under their new rules treat venues that are 10 years old? Because when we're told, well, it's okay because we have a great new aquatic center and that will still be there in 2024, we can use that. And then there's other people who say, no, you can't. It's too small. It's too this. It'll be 10 years old. So I want to know, what's the deal? Because that's a very important question. And so I've asked him to help me with things like that so we understand what we're getting into in the bidding process. I want to go and see people in the private sector because, frankly, if the people in the private sector don't want to step up and participate actively and substantially in this, that will be a very interesting indication to me of something very important. The other two governments. So we're going to be collecting, I mean, they have to be behind this, meaning the federal and provincial governments. And so I'm going to collect all of that information, including what the cost is likely to be from objective sources. I'm not going to get it from people who are trying to cheerlead. And then I'm going to consult the city council, obviously, and a whole host of others. And then I'll do what I have to do, which is make what I think to be the rational, sensible decision for the city.
I know you don't need to put it to a vote at city council. Would that be something that you would do?
Well, I'm certainly going to consult the city councillors, and I will say this. I said it today at a news conference this morning. The notion of an actual bid will be subject to the approval by the city council, for sure. I mean, so this is a letter that goes in that says we're interested in bidding. So if there's going to be a bid, then that will be subject to a vote. The problem, for the listeners' benefit, I'm not trying to avoid saying yes or no. The city council is not scheduled to meet until the 30th of September, which is 15 days after this letter is due. But the letter does not commit the city to a penny of money. It does not commit us to making a bid. It says we're interested. We get on the list of people who sort of get the documents, as it were, and then we make the bigger decision as to, how the bid would be put together, whether there'd be a bid. And so I'm just saying the city council will have a vote to approve any bid, as it should.
There's a lot to do within a month of getting that letter put together and shipped off and signed. Is it doable to do that in a month?
Of course.
Okay.
Because again, what you're not trying to do is have a technical document put together that explains exactly, what kind of velodrome you need or this or that. But I think on the basic core questions, how much, what's the process involved? What chances do we have of winning? And that's a very important question. Are the other two governments behind it? Will the private sector step up? Are the sports organizations supportive of it? And so on. That information, I think, can be collected in an adequate fashion to allow for a responsible decision about the letter. Because, Ryan, what I don't want to do is send a letter in and just say, well, I'm really just sending this in because there's a deadline and we're not really serious or we're not sure if we're serious.
Right.
I'd like to send the letter in if we send one, knowing that we're sort of positively inclined, subject to the council vote and subject to, the other governments withdrawing or saying, no, we're not there anymore or some such thing. But I want to make sure the letter is treated seriously and not in a kind of cavalier way, because I think that's insulting to the IOC and, disrespectful of the process for us to send a letter in just for the sake of being a placeholder.
Where are you personally with the Olympics? What is your want personally? Because those can differ.
I will say this, and I don't want to prejudge because I want to look at the information, but if somebody said to me, well, we have to do this to prove we're a world-class city, I don't agree with that. I think this is a world-class city. The fact that two different magazines have named us the most livable city in the world, independent of each other, I don't think we have anything to prove. So the question to me becomes, is there a net benefit to the city of doing this? And the net benefit can include lots of different things. I mean, it can include a lot of great publicity around the world for tourism and economic development purposes. It can include causing us to get from infrastructure built on transit and so on, which the Pan Am Games did. And there's so to me, the test isn't will it make us a world-class city or will we not become one? I think we are one. And I think the question is, can this event, if you have it, produce a net benefit for the city? And that's not an easy calculation to make. But I think that partly depends. If they tell you it's going to cost $20 billion to put it on or $15 billion, it'd be pretty hard to produce a net benefit in financial terms.
Sure.
If the number's much smaller and you can get a new transit line and a new housing development and this and that and the other thing, because you are forced to get those things done, we don't have a good track record when it comes to getting things done on our own in the city without deadlines in front of us.
Couple questions about the Olympics.
Yep.
That is a hot topic for a lot. There, Neil writes in, he says, will you discount the fare rates on TTC travel if we get the Olympics?
Discount the fares? You mean take them down?
I think that's what he means.
Look, it wouldn't be something that would occur to me immediately that we should do, but I think I'm more likely to say that if we did the Olympics, one of the things I would be pretty insistent on is we get some transit built as part of that, some additional transit. But what we do with the fares, I think, shouldn't be related to the Olympics. It should be related to, making sure we keep it affordable for people, but at the same time recover the costs, some of the costs of running it. Right now it's subsidized, as you know.
We've got another comment about the Olympics saying, love this city, don't waste our time or money on the Olympics. That goes to Tim's question asking, Mr. Mayor, why can't you follow suit with the mayor of Boston? Say we can't do it. Where do you think this money is going to come from?
Because I will say, Ryan, that for every person who comes up and tells me, don't do this, what Tim just said, there are other people who come up and say it'll be great for the city, it'll help us attract investment and tourists and jobs and so on. And so I'm doing what I believe it is my job to do, which is to analyze all the facts and reach a determination as to which of those points of view is better for the city in terms of its benefit in the long term. And that's what I'm doing. But for me, just to sort of say, well, I think the mayor of Boston's a great fellow and I agree with him, I mean, I know that's easy to do. It would have been simple, and I would have avoided all these interviews where I have to sort of say I'm going to analyze it. I just think I'm best to do this carefully as I try to make all the decisions.
One question at 7:10:10. 80s waterfront development in this city was a disaster. Now we're planning further eastern development, which obscures lake views. The western beaches have our only lake view. What are your plans to protect this open area?
Well, I think the west and the east are areas that actually have had less attention, just even in terms of running the pathway along the real west and east, like Scarborough and Etobicoke. Mm-hmm. Etobicoke's had a bit more attention than Scarborough, but Scarborough needs some attention and some investment just in proper pathways along the water so you can really get to the waterfront. But look, I think people are being unfair if they say the eastern waterfront and the work of the last 10 years. That's not the 80s, but that's the last 10 years. I think it's been excellent. The George Brown College, the Chorus Building, Sugar Beach Park, the Corktown Commons, the new Athletes Village that's part of the waterfront. They're excellent, reasonably scaled developments, but you want people to live there and be there all year. You don't want it to be just a stretch of green grass that in February won't be such an attractive place to be. And so I don't think they've walled off the water. I think, in fact, there's a promenade where you can walk right along the water on that whole stretch to the east, and it's good. It's not, look, nothing's going to be perfect, but I think it's been really good. So I think we have to do that kind of careful, first-class, excellent development with housing for artists and arts and cultural attractions and great parks and great shopping, and I think that will be what we want to have an active waterfront.
It's interesting because I took your advice last time you were here to go check out the Athletes Village. It is phenomenal.
Spectacular.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
I've still suggested, and I'll finish on this note because I know you've got to go to traffic,
that we can move that for you.
That they should have an open house before they're going to shut it down after the Parapan Games this Saturday to convert it for permanent residents to use it as their neighborhood after, so I think it'll take 6 months. I'd love it for people to have an open house to go down and just see it before they start that, because the landscaping and the parks and the buildings, it's fantastic, and it's a whole new neighborhood we wouldn't have had if it wasn't for Pan Am.
Mayor Tory, thank you for sharing this afternoon. You're going to stick around for the roundtable?
I am indeed.